Okay, so we have the airplane assembled, more or less. Let's go over that first. The bench is a bit of a hot mess because there are some additional things that we need to do. First, you'll note that I have been able to, thankfully, get the ESCs programmed by not having props on. Okay, don't put the props on until last. The directions have you put the props on all the way up here in step 5. Don't do that. Install the props last because I like my fingers and I like your fingers. So with that, we've got each of the motors going to a Y connector, which gets plugged in. We're going to change that. We're going to do differential. Not just yet, but first I want to power up my transmitter, and we'll select the model, the PBY, and again, no props, but what's super cool is that we have the lights. Now, initially, one of the modifications was that you should swap out lights for ones that are white. Well, guess what? They already fixed that for you. So that being said, we're going to unplug here. The first modification that we're going to do is we're going to add navigation lights. Cool. How do we do that? The first thing for adding navigation lights is remembering to install them correctly on the right side. Okay. Ask me how I know. Green goes on the right, red goes on the left, okay? As you're flying the airplane, all right? Not as you're looking at the airplane, all right? So now that we've cleared that up, what we have are a couple of LEDs, all right? So the stock kit it's got a label called Tomcat. Let me show you. So the stock controller here says Tomcat on it, and you have a flashing side and an on side. And right now we've got the white lights connected to the on side. So they're on all the time because having them blink would be weird. So now what we have are 3 other leads that go to nothing. They go to nothing. But what we can do is have them wired to these 2 lights. These are from eFlight, and whether or not they're the correct voltage or not, they're all very similar in the hobby. Sometimes you're overvolting a little bit, sometimes you're undervolting. For my intents and purposes, I'm not going to get technical here, but there are specific voltages for different LEDs. I tested these, they work. So I'm going to run with them. I've had them in my stash for years. They were given by a club member and I haven't used them. So all I have to essentially do is convert this plug to fit with these plugs. Now this is essentially a servo plug, and so I'll just make a servo lead out of this. I have my own equipment to do that right here in the shop. So I can do that and have it just plugged directly in, and I'll take off the wing and come back and show you how we're going to install the LEDs in the wing. It's super simple. All right, so what you're seeing is the wire from the LED being run. So I cut a channel just with a razor blade into the foam slightly. I made a little hole into the foam using a drill bit. I used a 1/8 inch drill bit because there's a little bit of a body because of the shrink wrap or shrink tube on these LEDs. So with that, set it in here and then pushed it into the foam to sink it in. And then I cut a little channel all the way to here. And I pulled a little bit of foam out for this junction here, but yeah, just pushed it in using a plastic tool so that I didn't hurt anything. You can open up the channel a little bit first with the plastic tool and then push it in. and then routed it around the servo bay. And then using the same channel that the aileron servo uses, I ran it all the way across here. And I used some of the Dubro hinge tape to cover that up and protect it. We are going to use this channel again when we install the retractable tip float. I did mark out this line here with masking tape because I'm actually going to cut the tip of the wing off when I go and do that modification, because the scale way that they I'll save that for another way, but it's a scale means of replicating what's going to go on here. So more to come on the tip floats. So what I'm going to do is do the same thing on the other side, reassemble the plane, and come back and show you the result. All right, so we have a completed modification. We have a blinky light on each tip. They are colored. We have some nice spotlights for landing approaches. It's looking like an airplane. So cool. We got our first modification done, as well as the basics of the airplane put together. Now note that it's not completely put together, and that's for good reason. There's additional things we're going to do. Save that for another video. So that'll be coming up, but make sure that you guys are heading on over to dubro.com using code JOSH10 at checkout for your 10% off. Hinges, clevises, wheel collets, hinge tape, all of those things. Head on over to Dubro. Pick up what you need for your modification project, even hardware, high quality stainless hardware, screws and such. For this kind of project, it's exactly what you need. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you find this helpful, and hope that you maybe consider Dynam for your next project. There's a number of models that they have, and please do head on over to FPV Builds RC.com website and check out the lineup that they've got there of Dynam aircraft. There's all sorts of things. Huge shout out to Anthony. We're going to keep rolling on this model and see what else we can get in here, make it a little bit better, make it more me is really what I'm going for. So until next time, keep working on your flying works of art.